Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear students. Hopefully, all of you are fine at your homes. In this month, we plan to teach you the block C, or the third block of first year MBBS, which was in physiology of cardiovascular and respiratory systems. And in the cardiovascular system, we had divided this into two units. One is the heart and second is the circulation. And I'll be teaching the physiology of heart, which comprises of the 5 chapters of physiology of heart. And today we will start with the first lecture, which is about the general physiology of introduction of heart. So circulatory system, it comprises of basically 3 components. One is the heart. Heart is the main central organ or the pumping organ, which serves as a pump that establishes the pressure gradient needed for blood to flow to the tissues. Blood vessels, these are the passageways that emerge from the heart through which the blood is distributed from heart to all parts of your body and back to the heart. And blood is the transport medium within which materials being transported are dissolved or suspended. So in this diagram, you can see that circulation is a closed circuit, or it consists of 2 loops. One is the pulmonary circulation or the lesser circulation, and another is the greater circulation or the general circulation. And in the pulmonary circulation, the deoxygenated blood, which is shown in the blue, it comes into the pulmonary circulation, and after being oxygenated, it returns back to the left side of the heart, and through aorta, it is transported to the body through general circulation. So this is the highest pressure area of the circulation, and then blood recollects through the capillary beds and the venous side of circulation back into the heart, and then after passing through the pulmonary circulation again during the different phases of cardiac cycle, it comes back into the heart. So here you can see that circulation is actually a closed loop or a closed circuit in which different parameters are very closely regulated. Heart is actually 2 separate pumps. A right heart that pumps the blood through the lungs and a left heart that pumps the blood through the peripheral organs. And in that diagram, you can see the different chambers of a heart and a very specialized system in yellow, which is the conduction system of a heart, which is responsible for the activities or the control of electrical events of cardiac muscle contraction. Now, there are very special features of cardiac muscle. Heart is actually composed of 3 major types of cardiac muscles. One is atrial muscle, ventricular muscle, and specialized excitatory and conductive muscle fibers, which I have shown you in the previous slide as yellow. So these are 3 types of cardiac muscles. Atria is a separate pump, ventricle is a separate pump, and this conduction system are also the part of this cardiac muscle. Electrical activity of heart. Now, the electrical activity of heart is different from that of the skeletal and smooth muscles. As we know, heart beats rhythmically. As a result of action potential, it generates by itself, which is a property of cardiac muscle, which is called as autorhythmicity. There are 2 specialized type of cardiac muscle cells. One is the contractile cells, which is 99% of the cardiac muscle, which comprises of both atrial and ventricular muscles. They do mechanical work of pumping, and normally they do not initiate their own action potentials. Whereas autorhythmic cells are cells of specialized conduction system. They do not contract. They are specialized for initiating and conducting the action potentials, which is responsible for contraction of the working cells. Now we will see the special aspects of these cardiac muscles. There are intercalated discs, which are highly convoluted and interdigitated junctions between the individual muscle fibers. They join the adjacent cells with help of desmosomes and fascia adherents. And the property of these specialized junctions is to allow for the syncytial activity of cardiac muscles with gap junctions. Now, another special aspect is that cardiac muscle contain more mitochondria than skeletal muscles, obviously for the requirement of ATPs and energy. There are less sarcoplasmic reticulum because calcium also influxes from extracellular fluid, reducing the need for the storage in sarcoplasm. There are larger T tubules which are internally branching, and because of these properties, the cardiac muscle contraction is always graded. Now continue with the properties of cardiac muscles. Cardiac muscle is striated in the same manner as in the skeletal muscles, means cardiac muscle gives the appearance of striations. But these striations are different in some aspects from the cardiac muscles. So syncytial is actually the interconnecting nature of the cardiac muscle fibers. As I've told you that there are desmosomes and gap junctions in between the muscle fibers, through which the cardiac muscle acts as a syncytium of many heart muscle cells, in which the cardiac cells are so interconnected that when one of these cells becomes excited, the action potential spreads to all of them from cell to cell throughout the latticework of interconnection. So these interconnections actually interconnects all the cardiac muscle fibers with each other. So this is the presentation of these intercalated discs or tight junctions by means of which individual cardiac muscles are interconnected with each other. Now, second special type of cells in cardiac muscles are autorhythmic cells or pacemaker cells. They are called pacemakers because they are capable of generating their own action potentials. They are smaller than the contractile cells and they do not contain many myofibrils because they do not contract. There is no organized sarcomere structure and they do not contribute to the contractile force of the heart. So they are meant for the generation of action potential and not the contraction. Now, these contractile cells have also got some special aspects, like the action potential of contractile cell is different from that of normal cardiac muscles. Here, calcium plays a major role. Action potential is longer in duration than a normal action potential due to this calcium entry. And there are similarly 4 phases of action potential. One is the resting membrane potential, when the resting membrane potential is minus 90 millivolts. Then, as this resting membrane potential changes, there is a stage of depolarization due to gap junctions or conduction fibers. Voltage gated sodium channels open and they close at 20 millivolts. Then there is a temporary repolarization which begins with the opening of calcium channels and allows some calcium to leave the cells. Now, one special feature of this action potential is plateau phase. Voltage gated calcium channels are fully open this plateau phase and they cause this prolongation of action potential. And last is the repolarization, where calcium channels close and permeability of the membrane for potassium increases as the slowly activated calcium channels opens and causes a quick repolarization. And the significance of this plateau phase is that it causes the graded contraction of the cardiac muscle. So here you can see the phases of action potential. One special feature here, we can see the appearance of plateau, which is because of the opening of the slow sodium and calcium channels in the Purkinje muscle fibers. So what causes the long action potential and plateau? There are 2 types of channels in the cardiac muscles, the same fast sodium channels as those in the skeletal muscles, and second is the slow calcium channels, which are also called calcium sodium channels, which differ from the fast sodium channels in that they are slower to open and remain open for several tenths of a second. During this time, a large quantity of both calcium and sodium ions flow through these channels to the interior of the cardiac muscle, and this maintains a prolonged period of depolarization, causing the plateau in the action potential. So here you can see that in the Purkinje muscle fibers, there is no plateau phase, and this plateau phase in typical cardiac muscle action potential is present in ventricular muscle fibers. The second major function is that immediately after the onset of action potential, the permeability of cardiac muscle for potassium ion decreases about 5-fold. So this decreases the outflux of positively charged potassium ions during the action potential and thereby prevents early return of action potential to its resting level. When the slow calcium sodium channels do close at the end of 0.2 to 0.3 seconds, the membrane permeability for potassium ions also increases rapidly. So this rapid loss of potassium from the fiber immediately returns the membrane action potential to its resting level, thus ending the action potential. So here we can see there are two factors which are responsible for the plateau in the action potential. One is the slow sodium calcium channels, and second is the slow release of calcium from inside the fiber. Now, velocity of signal conduction in cardiac muscle is also very different from those of skeletal muscles. Like velocity of conduction is along both the atrial and ventricular muscle fiber is about 0.3 to 0.5 meters per second, or about 1/250 the velocity in large nerve fibers and 1/10 the velocity of skeletal muscle fibers. So here you can see the skeletal muscles action potential versus contractile myocardial action potential. Here you can see the refractory period of skeletal muscle is very short, whereas the refractory period for a cardiac muscle fiber is very prolonged. This is because of the presence of plateau in the action potential, and also the cardiac muscles, they exhibit the phases or graded contraction. So this prolonged refractory period prevents the summation due to elongated refractory period. There is no summation capacity in cardiac muscles, so it cannot lead to the tetanus, which would be fatal. So cardiac muscle action potential is different from that of the skeletal muscles. So this is the process of excitation contraction coupling, in which this excitation spreads from the T tubules towards the inside of the fiber, and then it is coupled with the electrical events of excitation with the mechanical events of contraction. Here you can see the entry of calcium ions from the extracellular fluid deep down into the T tubules. Then this calcium spreads intracellularly and it acts on special type of receptors. Here you can see in blue, which are located in the walls of sarcoplasmic reticulum. This calcium induced opening of this calcium channel causes further release of calcium from the sarcoplasmic reticulum. So there is a rapid influx of calcium inside the cytoplasm, which is called as calcium spark, and this causes the stronger contraction between actin and myosin filaments of cardiac muscles. Here you can see the details of this excitation contraction process. Action potential, which is generated from pacemaker cells, it travels through the T tubules, and excitation contraction coupling starts with calcium induced calcium release. Action potential spreads along the sarcolemma. T tubules contain voltage gated L-type calcium channels which open upon depolarization. Now calcium enters into the myocardial cells and opens ranodine receptors. These are special types of receptors which are located in the sarcoplasmic reticulum. Now this causes the release of calcium from sarcoplasmic reticulum and causes a sudden calcium spark. So there are multiple sparks from the calcium signals, and they increase the levels of calcium inside the cell, which is responsible for the contraction. Calcium signals, that is both calcium from sarcoplasmic reticulum and extracellular fluid, binds to the troponin to initiate the myosin head attachment to actin. So this leads to the process of contraction, which is same as in the skeletal muscle, but the strength of contraction varies. Sarcomeres are not all done as it is in skeletal muscles, because the response is graded, as low levels of cytosolic calcium will not activate as many myosin-actin interactions, and the opposite is true, that high levels of calcium inside the cell cytoplasm will activate many actin and myosin filaments and stronger contraction. Now, there is typical length tension relationship exists between the cardiac muscles, and strongest contraction generated when cardiac muscles are stretched between 80 and 100% of their maximum power, which is the normal physiological range. Now, what causes this stretching? As we know, during the cardiac cycle, the heart is filled with the blood. So filling of the chambers with the blood, it puts pressure on the cardiac muscles. So this causes the stretching of the cardiac muscles, and it increases the tension in the cardiac muscles. So relaxation is the reverse process, in which calcium is transported back into the sarcoplasmic reticulum, and calcium is transported out of the cell by a facilitated sodium calcium exchanger. As intracellular fluid calcium level drops, the interaction between myosin and actin are stopped, And here the sarcomere lengthens and the relaxation is achieved. So this excitation contraction process is over with this return of calcium back into the sarcoplasmic reticula.